My name is John, and today we're going to talk about how we secure emails through ShareFile. How do you secure those shares even more when you're specifically sending emails to clients or other associates within your company? Again, my name is John. I'm a customer success engineer. Been with Citrix/ShareFile about 6.5 years now, and love to do these webinars. We continue to do them, so continue to join them. But I am actually with my associate here, Cord. Cord, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey, my name's Cord. I'm a customer success engineer as well with the adoption team, and I've been with the ShareFile organization for about 5 years now.
So let's get to it. We have a lot to cover, and we want to be sure we get to a lot of questions today. So first off, we always start with a thank you. So with that, let's just jump right into our agenda. So today, again, we're going to talk all about securing your emails. We do have some resource links here. A lot of the things that we're going to talk about today, I do have linked here, so it's very easy to be able to run through those and be able to kind of go back and run through some of that documentation that we ran through today. And then we do have, of course, our events and webinar section here that we have linked. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the demo. I have our Outlook plugin here. Now, the first thing I do want to show is that we have a couple different methods in how you can access or download that plugin. So right above, if you're already in the web interface of your instance, and remember your instance has your domain.sharefile.com up there, if you simply click on the app section up at the top right, you'll see our Citrix files for Outlook. You could simply download it that way. You can also download it from simply just Google searching Citrix files for Outlook. You don't need to log into your Citrix account or anything of that nature. We can just simply come in here. We do have an executable that you could do for a per machine user, or if you are an administrator joining us today, we do have an MSI file. So you can actually broadcast this out, of course, to your domain users a little bit easier, so you can get that installed, of course, globally or within the company that you're in. So going back over to the plugin, first, when you do install it, it's just going to simply ask you a couple questions. First off, it's going to ask you your subdomain, which again, just like I showed you there, mine was ShareFile Rocks. I'm going to use actually the Citrix one today. And then it's going to ask you how to authenticate. If you do have single sign-on enabled for your account, you can choose the sign-in with company credentials, or if you're just logging directly in with your ShareFile account, you're not using single sign-on for your users, you can simply log in with your email address and your ShareFile password. But that should be it. It's pretty straightforward. Once it is installed, you can confirm that it is installed properly, that you'll see a Citrix files section up here to the top right of your Outlook plugin bar, and then you'll see the option section here. So let's kind of first start out with just showing some of these options right when you start out. You kind of want to set yourself up for success, right? You want to be sure that you're sending out these shares securely and customizing those shares to your liking. If you're familiar with ShareFile and you're sending those shares out, you know that you can, of course, assign certain parameters to those share links, like you can expire the link after so long, you can require people to sign in instead of it being an anonymous link, and so forth. So let's go through some of those options before we demonstrate just how we encrypt email and also how do we just basically share. So from the start, you can simply click on Options. And under Options, first off, you'll see the account that you're logged into at the top right. You can always just log out from here and log into a different account. You can't have more than just one account, of course, logged in at a time, because there are times where people do have multiple ShareFile accounts. We do have a help section over here. It gives you some helpful hints and tips, and of course, how to use Citrix files for Outlook. And then, of course, we have our general settings. So let's go through these briefly. So if we click on the General tab here, this is going to go through a couple things in how Outlook handles your attachments. We have three options. By default, it's going to convert all your attachments in Citrix files if you have it enabled. And I'll demonstrate how that kind of looks when we perform a drag and drop into one of your emails that you're going to send out. You can also tell it to automatically just convert attachments over 5 megabytes. If you think about this, right? Sometimes if you're an administrator, your Exchange environment may not allow attachments over 5 megs. Obviously this is for spam reasons, virus reasons and so forth. So this is a good automatic way of, if you just want to attach files that are under 5 megs by default, you could do that. But if they're over 5 megs, we can actually convert it over to a ShareFile share after that. And then the last option there is it will actually prompt you if you want to set this as a normal attachment or convert it into a share. So you have 3 different ways to be able to handle the default operation here when you're using Outlook plugin. You will have a little icon that will show that the recipients that are receiving the email have an attachment. So it shows a little ShareFile icon. This is just for a visual aid to showcase that, hey, I'm sending you a share. And of course, it's from ShareFile. And then lastly, we have the access options. This is when your link expires. So you'll see that, by default, I have it set for 6 months. So if you're, say, somebody that is sending out things quite frequently and you want it to be more secure, you can lower the amount of time that your links expire. That will expire the link so that those clients, those people you're sending it to, won't be able to access it after that. Now, one thing to mention is when all of these options that I'm going to click on, you'll see this use default options down here. So whatever you set here and I click on use default options, it's going to prompt, are you sure you want to change those to the defaults? That means anytime I'm going to come into Outlook and I'm going to attach something to an email, it's going to use the defaults that I set in each of one of those options. Just be cautious of that. I will say we do have other ways to help set defaults on an administrative level. Cord is actually going to go through that on the web interface. So that's going to be really cool to see where we can lock down some of these defaults without the users going in to set these themselves. So let's move on. So under attached files, we have a couple things here. We have notifications. You could tell it to email you when somebody accesses that file. That's really good, just to be sure, hey, I sent it to Mr. John Doe. Just want to be sure that I get a confirmation that he did access the file, so I'll get a response. And then you could also tell what kind of access level the link or the file has. So of course, anonymous, meaning anyone could really open in that message, but since we're talking about security nowadays, we're going to want to maybe choose one of these other options. So these 3 options allow you to require the user to sign into their ShareFile account before they see the contents. So be very wary of that. If you want to be more secure, absolutely choose one of the sign-in requirements here. And as you can see, you can kind of go down the list there. It's pretty self-explanatory in who you want it to require that sign-in. And then you could choose the amount of times they can actually, of course, access this file or whatever I'm sharing with them. By default, it's one unlimited. And then finally, you do have a version option. So ShareFile does have something called versioning. That means if, hey, John Doe uploads a file and it's a title of the file that some other person is going to use to upload in that same folder, say Jane Doe comes around and uploads that same file with the same name, it will save it as a version. It's not going to overwrite John Doe's of course, document. So this will tell it basically just to use the latest version of that file, which is usually always the thing you want there. And then we do have requesting files. So we're not just able to share files with the Outlook plugin, we're able to actually request files from the client as well. So it's a two-way, of course, application. We don't want it just to be one way. We want it to be 2 ways. So within here, I can actually set, again, who I want to have access, how they can access it. Same thing as when I share something. I can also request that when the client is going to upload something to me. And then also where the default location is going. By default, there is the file box. Everyone will have a file box as a user within ShareFile. And what the file box is, it's a temporary space when I upload something to ShareFile through this application. It's going to reside in that file box until somebody moves it out, or you move it out, I should say, to a folder that's in your shared or your personal folders. So the file box does have a 180-day retention period. So if you do keep it in there at that 180-day mark, it's going to automatically delete, but you can always recover that from your recycle bin. And then finally, you do a couple other options here. You do have the encryption option. So we're going to go through that right now. We're going to talk about just how you encrypt the email. And as you can see, the encrypted email does have different options rather than just your general share that you're going to create and send out. So this is separate. So if you're going to encrypt an email, it's going to take on these options. Same as before, you do have the link expiration. You do have the ability to require sign-in. As you can see with encrypted email, we do need to require some kind of information here from the person, either logging in or actually requiring their name and email before they can access that data. And then finally, you do have an inserting link. You'll see here in a minute when I actually generate an email with a share in it, you could set it as a banner. So it's a little bit of a visual aid to show that there is an attachment there. Or you could just simply use text and you could customize that text. So when it does attach a file, you could customize the wording here a little bit so that it will generate, say, more desired, of course, sentence here for you so that the client or the person that's receiving it understands that it's from ShareFile. And then finally, you do have the language. If you did need to change the default language from English, you can change that within here as well. Again, remember, you do have those default settings if you need to set those. All right, so those are all the options here, but let's go ahead and demonstrate how a encrypted email looks when I actually send one. So I'm going to take an email here, and I actually sent one to myself already, but I'm going to send one here to Cord, and I have a super secret world takeover plan that I need to be encrypted. Now, remember, your data at rest and in transit with ShareFile is always encrypted. This encryption option allows you to encrypt the body of the message. So this just tacks on the security that we offer here at ShareFile. So with that being said, as you can see, I have my message already drummed up here. Okay, I have my Word doc. Here's my super secret company plans that I need secure. So I'm going to actually close that out, and I'm just going to drag and drop that that Word document directly into it. And as you can see, it's going to automatically convert. Now, like I showed you in that last option there, the insert links, this is the banner that it talks about. So if I did choose the text option, it's just going to have the text with the downloadable link in there. And that's it. So I'm ready to go. This is it. That's all I needed to do. As you can see, there's no actual attachment on the email, so there's nothing that has a file that they would have to download directly from the message. They'll be able to click that link, access it through their account, and then reply back to me in an encrypted way so that back and forth, we're still encrypting the body of the message. So I'm going to send this over to Cord, and while he goes through that, I already sent one to myself, so I kind of wanted to show you how it looks when it comes in from the client perspective. So as you can see here, I have Mr. John Doe's email box, and I sent him an email. And looks like I might have actually forgot to actually send one more, and let me refresh there. And good thing I thought about this because I actually already had it generated. If it didn't pop up the link, that's fine, no problem. I might have actually sent it too fast there, but as you can see, I already had this pulled up in an earlier one I sent, so I clicked that link that was in the email, and I logged into my Citrix account that I had for sending this, and as you can see, here's my secret plans, and here's that document that I had sent. So as you can see, they've required them to sign in first to their account so they can actually see it. And as you can see, you received an encrypted email. I could see now the contents of it, and I see the files attached. Now I could have, of course, multiple files here if I wanted to, but I could simply come into here and download that. And of course, now I have that document. To further kind of secure your documents, you can also, as a little bit of a tip, with Office documents like Excel's or Word documents, you could password protect them. So if I did actually add that protection on here, of course, Office would see that, and I would further need to put in, say, a password for that document if I had that enabled. But here's my super secret company plans. I am planning to Of course, we have a Project Stealth donut. I love that. But now I could see the document. I'm good there. Now I can simply reply back to this, if you will, which I already did. And I'll show you what that looks like. But Cord right now is actually responding. He's going to send me back an encrypted message with another attachment. So you can think of this as if I'm sending this over to John Doe, and it's, of course, a top secret message. You can simply take that and edit that, and then, of course, Cord can reply back with it with the edited document.
Hey, John, it looks like you sent it without the encryption. You just the attachment.
Oh, yes. You know what? I apologize. I did forget one extra step. So let me actually go through that real quick again. I forgot one essential bit here. You will see a encryption option up at the top left. So let's go back, and I'm going to send Cord another one. I messed up, and we're going to go ahead and drag this back over. Oops, let me turn encryption on. Thought I clicked it. There we go. So you can see it's highlighted here. By the way, just like the default options I showed you in there, you could drop that down and use custom settings. And within the custom settings, those are the same settings that I was talking about in that encryption section that you can actually change. So that is the same option that you would get here. So I have encryption on, and I am going to attach that message now. There we go. And I'm going to send that back over to Cord. Now that is an encrypted message in itself there. So you'll see this is another thing that I just wanted to show. Till Cord passes this back over, I did one ahead of time. And you can see I updated that document for the super secret plans, and I responded back just like I showed you on the web interface there. So it comes back as encrypted message. And as you can see, this is notating that it is an encrypted message here. I can revoke access if I wanted to. If I didn't know who this was, I can revoke access. But from here, I can simply download the messages that I need. And that will process the download, and it will open up the actual page here. And then from there, same thing. Now I have from myself, I sent it, I could download that updated document. So you can see it's encrypted. It's going to confirm who I am. I already, of course, logged into my account ahead of time just to save on some time, but now I can come and download that message easily. So we'll just wait for Cords to come in. But as you can see, again, I didn't necessarily need to send an encrypted message. I still have the security on the links to require to sign in. I did skip on that encryption part, but just be sure that encryption option is enabled. That's one thing, is just to be sure that you don't necessarily need to send encrypted messages all the time. But if there is something that you want to be sure that requires sign-in and everything, that's where you want to, of course, click that encryption option. As you can see, I did get a notification. If you recall, I did say that I want to be notified when that message was looked at or, of course, viewed. As you can see, Mr. Cord went in and viewed that encrypted message, so I get a timestamp there. And it does notate here that we're receiving a push. We did notate that we were going to get a notification back. So Cord is, of course, acknowledging that he did view it. I get that notification, and soon I should get the response back. There we go. And there's my oops, I messed up message. And as you can see, it is decrypting. So it will automatically try to decrypt this. It knows, of course, we are in an encrypted state here. And same thing that I just showed you. Here's the plans. Maybe, of course, Cord sent me something different. So let me go back in. And there we go. So let's see what he actually sent me here. Maybe some other secret plan. Scoops Ahoy. Got it. So I guess that's what his the name of our secret plan is going to be, Scoops Ahoy. I appreciate it, Cord. Now with that, as you can see, it's very easy to send that share through Outlook. I was able to encrypt that message, and Cord was able to send a encrypted message back to me with another file if it was something I was requesting. One last thing I did want to say, actually, before I pass it over to Cord, is I know there was a lot of different requests of how do we secure a requested file. So remember, we can request files from individuals by hitting this option here, request files. And that will generate a share link that is able to upload. Now, I can actually set this a little bit more secure so that, say for instance, I'm going to require client and employee to first sign in before they can upload. And say for instance, I wanted to go into a particular folder I have. Under one of my personal folders, I have some case information I want to have that saved into. So I could simply click on there. If I will, I'm just going to cancel that just to show the demonstration, but I can actually take that link now and open up my signature on Outlook and put that link in my signature so that individuals can upload information by simply pointing them to my signature. Be aware that, obviously the one thing you want to look out for is when your link expires. If you're going to do a signature like that, be sure to set it to never, because if you set it to expire, you would need to change out your signatures based on the link itself, based on the amount of time that you're giving it. So with that, I'm going to actually pass it over to Cord. He's going to go through the web interface and show a couple things and how to do this through the web UI.
All right. So the first thing we're going to touch on, and I've seen a lot of it in the chat, is about how to enable the specific options for the plugin and how to lock those on an admin level. So what we're going to do here is we'll go to settings and then admin settings and then advanced preferences and enable ShareFile tools. And then here you'll see all your different ShareFile tools, specifically the Outlook plugin. And if you click configure plugin, it'll bring up all your options for how to change those settings. So what you'll be able to do on all these settings is set the default. So the first time somebody logs into the account on their Outlook plugin, it will choose these defaults instead of the ShareFile specific defaults that we set from our end. So if you wanted your attachment policy to be automatic, but you wanted it to be at 10 megabytes, you could come in here and set that, and then that would be the default. What you could then also do is prevent user changes. So without prevent user changes, the user can go into the options in their plugin and change any of those settings from their default. But preventing user settings means it'll be locked. So if you wanted anything over 10 megabytes to have to be sent with ShareFile through your Outlook, then you could turn this on and that's how it would apply. Same with link insertion. If you wanted to only use text links, if you wanted to always set the download level for login, you can come in here and prevent user changes. Then anytime a user sends a file with the Outlook plugin, it's going to require login. It's not going to just they won't be able to select anonymous or name and email. So you'll have all the options in here, same as for the plugin, if they set it on their end. So I'm not going to change any settings for myself at this point. Another thing you can also do in your advanced preferences in regards to the encrypted email is to make sure it is actually turned on. So if you don't see it in your account right now, just come in here again, settings, admin settings, advanced preferences, and then you'll go to email settings. And then if you scroll down to the bottom here, you'll see encrypted email, and you'll just want to make sure that is enabled. If you don't see it here at all, contact our support team and they can go into the back end and make sure it's enabled for your account. The next thing we're going to look at is how to, we've already seen how John did it with the Outlook plugin, but all of those things you can also do from inside your ShareFile account itself. So if you come in here to inbox, you can either go to sent or received, and then you'll see compose over here on the right. You click compose, it'll start an encrypted email for you. And you'll have your options here. So you can come in here, set your access expiration. So if I only wanted something to last a week, could set that. Require recipients to log in, so they're going to have their email and password. And then notification as well, you can set that. So I can go ahead and hit save. Then down here at the bottom, I could send John an email. I could say, hey John, let's talk further about your plans And then if I wanted to attach any items, I could choose those. So I come into my folders, find a file, attach it. I don't have any I'm going to send them right now. If you're sending the same email a lot, you'll also have the option to remember subject and message. So if you're sending a frequent email to new clients, for example, and you don't want to necessarily change up your message all the time, you could do this. It'll save it in a cookie in your browser cache. So if you ever change computers or clear your browser cache, you may lose that message as far as it being saved. So that's just something to be aware of. All right, and then we can just go ahead and do send. And if I come here in my sent folder, we can see I sent it, and then it's going to act the same way as John's did to me, and back and forth, and he'll go in, he could reply to the email and it come back and all that. All right. And then I think, John, did you have some more information for us here?
Just the inbox itself, if you wanted just to go over just what each of the actual options do in terms of the inbox. I think that's the last thing we wanted to do. And by the way, I'm about to respond over to your encrypted email right now. I just got it.
Good. Yeah, so for the inbox, as you can see here in my sent messages, anytime you send a file or an encrypted email, it's going to make an entry in here. So if I just share a file, it creates an entry in here, and then I can see the information on that. So I'll be able to see the file, where it's located, the history of that link. So if you ever need to look up if someone actually downloaded the file or viewed it, you will have that ability by going into the sent message details and just finding that item on when it was sent. Again, you can see the expiration over here. So like this one, I can see this document has 118 days left. So if we look at this, we can see no one's actually accessed it. We can see where the file is located. But if we want, we can come in here, we can edit those message options. So if we wanted to lower that to 3 months, we can come in here and do that. We could also change the number of downloads. So if we only wanted them to do it twice and I want to be notified, save that. Now I've changed the settings on that link, even though I'd already sent it out. If it's an email or it was, if it was an email sent through ShareFile, you can also resend that. Or if it was a link sent through ShareFile, you can resend that as well. You can also then expire it. So if you sent the wrong thing to somebody, you can check, they hadn't downloaded it, great. I'm just gonna go in here, I'm gonna expire that link. Now it's expired. If someone goes and clicks on it, they won't be able to access it. So that's a good way to make sure that if you do share something accidentally, or if you need to kind of rein something back in, you have the option to easily go in, find that item and expire it.
And then there was one I responded back. There we go. Awesome. That's Cord. I got it now.
So yeah,
perfect.
And then you can see the whole chain of those encrypted emails, just show and hide them as you need to. So if you had a long chain going, you don't have to look through everything.
Absolutely.
All right.